In the previous video, we talked about the block problem. And this is basically what happens when JSON breaks, when we lost a bracket or comma and you lost the entire thing. But we also have to think about the other part. What happens when everything works perfectly? Because you're still paying a cost. There's still something there that you might not have thought about. And let me give you some context in this case. LLMs have what we call they work within a context window. This is a fixed working memory. This is like a box, imagine a box, and you put information in it, and this is the amount of space they can reason within. And let me be more clear. You give it a prompt, it gets the prompt, it puts it in a box, it works on it, has a response, gives you the response, but it also has both the prompt and the response. You give it another response, you give it another question, let's say, it takes it, it puts it alongside the other data and so on. So basically this grows, right? And this is what happens when you reach the limit. It stops because it has to condense the information, has to compress it. Otherwise it doesn't have space to add more and to reason on it. This is its budget. Now, if you think of a human, let's say you're doing some mental math, all right? You can hold in your head 3, 4, maybe 5 numbers at any given point in time, and this is your budget. But what if you also have to keep track of where your keys are, where your kids are, or whatever? The moment you have to keep track of other things, your budget diminishes. You cannot reason. Your reason capacity has been diminished because it has to keep track of other things. And this is where we talk about the JSON format. In this particular example, this is the block format, where you have to, the model has to keep track of brackets, it has to keep track of nesting depth, it has to know, am I inside an object, am I inside an array, where am I? Do I have to put a comma now? When it writes its output token by token, word by word, right? And what happens is, it's instead of it thinking about your problem, it's doing bookkeeping. That's it. You lost some part of its reasoning because instead of thinking, it has to make sure that it gives you the correct output. If the block is not well formatted and closed, it breaks, so you won't get anything. This is a very critical information. And you won't see this in the output because the JSON looks fine, it's working, you are able to open it, but the reasoning could have been better, right? It could have thought deeper about your problem and give you maybe a better result. Think about a novelist that has to write a paper, write a novel, and you say, you will write this novel, but I want you to know exactly at which line you're at. You need to count your lines. The novelist will be able to write the novel, but the intelligence available to write it will be diminished by the fact that he has to keep track of each line. At which line am I? 526, for example. Basically, you get less intelligence than what you paid for. And this is just something simple, but it compounds. Let's think about AI to AI. Basically, you have a pipeline where each hop generates JSON. AI A talks to AI B, sends a JSON. AI B talks to AI C, sends a JSON. Basically, it has to parse and generate a JSON. This takes its toll, right? And this is debt that compounds at every step. Basically, you're using a fraction of the intelligence you think you're using. And that's the problem. And I think we should be aware of it. The block problem is what happens when it breaks, and cognitive debt is what does it cost when it doesn't. Basically, the cost of creating the block. Think about it.